everybody, and thank you for joining us on YouTube and our streaming app, WKYC2+. I'm 3 News investigator Marissa Saenz. The story of Jeffrey Dahmer has captured the attention of true crime lovers once again. His spree of gruesome killings dating back over 40 years ago and his strange character have been recounted by friends, dramatized by Hollywood, and relived by those who were there and impacted by it all. The monster inside him was released for the first time here in Northeast Ohio and Bath Township. Our cameras were there to capture every step of the way in real time. And here, for the first time in over 3 decades, you'll see it for yourself.
What are you doing there?
The story of Jeffrey Dahmer is captivating a new generation across the globe.
I hear screaming coming from your apartment.
But for some here in Northeast Ohio, it's reliving a story many still can't understand.
My address was 4485 West Bath Road, and Jeff Dahmer's was 4480 West Bath Road, right across the street.
For childhood friend Eric Tyson, the early memories around Bath Township are innocent, full of nostalgia.
This is the hill. Our school bus stop was just up ahead at the base of this hill. It was up here, this driveway up on the left. That's where our old school bus was. On our left is Jeff Dahmer's house. My house is right across the street. That's my old house. It looks a lot different.
Tyson says he and Dahmer, just 3 years apart, spent many of their young years together, hiking and biking, until each took vastly different paths.
He had quite a collection of skeletons, and he was interested in that. Nothing I particularly was interested in, but to each their own.
By high school, they drift apart. Dahmer played tennis. Tyson was into electronics and photography.
By the time he started driving, I didn't see him a whole lot.
But Tyson can't shake moments of Dahmer that were less than normal.
I think Jeff was lonely. He was an attention getter. He wanted to do crazy antics, and making noises and that sort of stuff.
Dahmer began his killing spree close to home. The first in 1978, just 3 weeks after graduation from Revere High. Tyson had no clue of the horror happening just yards away.
We were watching the news and the story broke, and the phone rang right away.
Dahmer picked up 18-year-old Stephen Hicks, killing the Summit County teen and burying him around the house.
Well, I knew the property. I knew the little door underneath the house where they say he had stashed the body.
The days aren't so fun for his attorney, Bob Mosener.
And frankly, I've never had a client like Jeffrey Dahmer.
A recommendation from a reporter would lead Dahmer's father, Lionel, to Mosener, who was in Philadelphia with no sights set on the national story.
Wasn't following the case. Wasn't interested in it.
Mosener describes his meeting with Dahmer as nothing less than how he's portrayed on the screen.
But hearing the graphic detail was more than I could stand.
I had a drill at home, and it's going to sound bad.
He traveled up to Wisconsin and visited him at the prison. Like in the Silence of the Lambs, they had him in an area that was like a cage, actually, with plexiglass or bulletproof glass.
Dahmer was cold, short-answered, leaving Mosener with a certain creepy crawl on his skin.
The first interview was very strange. And after the interview, you could see that there was nothing there in his eyes. I was very uncomfortable with it, and usually I'm not with my clients.
Dahmer would plead guilty, be sentenced to life, and sent back to Wisconsin. It would be the last time the two would ever talk.
I told Jeffrey's father after the sentencing that I predicted he would not live 2 years in prison, that they would kill him in prison. This guy was a monster. I don't know how else to describe him.
There's the house. It looks the same, a little different color right now.
While Tyson and Mosener have left it all behind, others seemingly can't let the story of Jeffrey Dahmer die.
Everyone's just sort of, the story won't go away.
Our very own WKYC archive footage takes us back to the early 1900s when Jeffrey Dahmer was being sentenced after pleading guilty to killing 18-year-old Stephen Hicks. In this 1992 news report, you'll see how Northeast Ohio was discovering the case for the first time.
Jeffrey Dahmer was upset at his father for divorcing his mother, and he was upset at the deaths of 2 classmates. That's according to a friend.
We had 2 in our band who were killed in the car crash, and 1 who was also in our band who committed suicide. It's too hideous to believe, almost, and especially when it was someone I grew up with.
Cynthia Castle went to Revere High School with Dahmer. Now she knows Dahmer admits killing Stephen Hicks about the very same time she and Dahmer were friends. It is Hicks' remains that investigators will dig for at the home Jeffrey Dahmer and his family once lived in. Dahmer has drawn a crude map for the searchers to use, but there are other factors in this equation.
One of the things you get concerned about is the animal life that's in the area, them picking up the bones and carting them to various areas.
If and when any skeletal remains are unearthed, it may take a DNA cross-check with the parents of Stephen Hicks to make it a positive ID. Also, the bone discovered by the current owner of the home and turned over to police may not be the bone of a human being. Still more grisly admissions from Dahmer in Milwaukee. He has told police that he killed 24-year-old Anthony Sears at his grandmother's home in West Allis, Wisconsin. He also says he killed 2 Hispanic men there as well. That was either in 1985 or 86. Dahmer says he met the men at a gay bar in Milwaukee.
In this WKYC news report, seen for the first time in over 30 years, you'll hear from the parents of 18-year-old Stephen Hicks, who was Jeffrey Dahmer's first victim. Dahmer killed and buried him in his Bath Township home.
It was a normal morning. We went to church and he didn't want to go that day. He was going to go out to Chippewa to WMMS Appreciation Day. So he got dressed. He wouldn't wear a shirt. The last thing I said to him is, "It's a hot day, put on a shirt." He says, "Mom, I'll be okay."
My first thoughts, quite frankly, well, initially was, well, he just was having a good time and it slipped his mind he's not coming home. That night, I woke up in the middle of the night and checked his bed. He still wasn't home.
I felt right away that Stephen was gone, that he was dead. But the third day, Stephen's birthday would have been June 22nd.
And that's when he would have been...
Stephen would have been home for his birthday.
Understand that in 13 years, we've grabbed at some straws as well. There was a detective in California that promised absolutely he could find Stephen for $300. He can't drive out of town for $300, but he got our $300. I hope you perceive that we're not ignorant people. We're well-read people, but driven to frustration of not knowing and the desperation. If a few $100 gave us some peace of mind, it was money well spent. Sometime between Tuesday and Friday, we became aware and informed, and you'll have to understand things are kind of a jumble, that there was a real possibility that Stephen was there. So we waited, and Friday evening, about 7 o'clock, two deputies visited our home and told us that Dahmer had positively identified our son as his first victim.
When they asked him how they could be so sure, he told them, "You remember your first."
Is he insane? In my opinion, no. He's evil. How do you deal with evil? They say an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I don't believe in capital punishment. If it were within my power and I could enforce the judgment on that man, it would be that he suffer the combined agony of all the families of the victims, the last few seconds of his victims' lives, and his parents for eternity. Unfortunately, that may be cruel and unusual punishment, not allowed under our system, sad as it might be. I don't know what to do with him, you know.
But you don't think he should be killed?
Personally, that's a subject that we're divided on in our families.
Does that mean your wife and yourself?
Yes.
I believe in capital punishment. I don't think that we should have to pay our taxes to support these monsters and give them their rights for the rest of their lives when they took away the basic right of life from people.
And if I thought killing him would bring my son back, I'd do it myself. And if I thought killing him would stop it from happening in the future, I'd do it myself.
Just don't ever let him out.
Our WKYC archive video takes us back to 1991 to the Jeffrey Dahmer case. Our cameras were there when investigators combed through the house, searching for the bones of his first victim, 18-year-old Stephen Hicks.
Even working with the map provided by Jeffrey Dahmer, the 8-person search crew still has a lot of ground to cover, or in this case, uncover, before they could actually begin digging for the remains of Stephen Hicks. The 2-acre site first had to be cleared of brush and weeds. Then came the actual process of locating the bits and pieces of bones that Dahmer told authorities he scattered around the area. The Summit County coroner describes it as looking for a needle in a haystack.
Not only was the deceased dismembered, but then the bones were broken apart with a sledgehammer. And so we are looking at fragments that the largest of which may be no bigger than your hand.
The search also included the crawl space under the former Dahmer home. It was here, Jeffrey Dahmer told police, that he dismembered the 19-year-old Hicks.
They will be searching for any type of blood or any other evidence that may be there.
While several bone fragments were found, they will first be tested to make certain they are human bones and that they belong to Hicks. And recovering all or most of the skeletal parts will not happen quickly.
Everything seems to be very consistent with what Jeffrey Dahmer has told the investigators. It's in the area that he said that it would be, and we're continuing to search that. It's a very tedious operation, and we look to be here maybe 3 to 4 days.
At this point, authorities also have no reason to think there is more than one body buried here.
It would make the case very, very simplistic if all of that were together. The case would become very easy. Because of the manner in which he did this, that is fragmenting the skull with the sledgehammer and then distributing the fragments in a wide arc of 360 degrees, it makes it so much more difficult. For example, we have not found any teeth, you see. So from a morphologic basis, what we hope to do is put enough of the fragments together, along with the history and the confession, that we can say, yes, we have the remains of a Caucasian male. Okay, this approximate age group which fits with the alleged victim.
As the day progressed, details trickled out. First, after brush was cleared away, a small piece of bone was found about 150 feet from Dahmer's former home. Then another piece, and eventually more than 50. It's thought that 70% or more are human bones.
We feel that all this took place within a couple days after the actual killing.
It now appears clear that the story Dahmer told authorities in Milwaukee of first killing, then dismembering Stephen Hicks is true. Evidence found so far appears to be from only one victim, as Dahmer says. His detail is so good that he is literally providing police with a roadmap to body parts. The most evidence was found here in a crawl space beneath the home. It was here that Dahmer says he cut up Stephen Hicks' body. A bloody handprint was found on a cement wall, many bones, human hair, and what coroner William Cox calls a substantial amount of blood. Authorities hope to find enough bone fragments to confirm that the body found here is indeed that of Stephen Hicks. But their job is being made more difficult because Jeffrey Dahmer has told authorities that 13 years ago he smashed the skull of his victim shortly after the killing.
He has stated that he stood up on the cliffs, and after he had fragmented the bones with a sledgehammer, he literally threw them in an arc of 360 degrees. It makes it so much more difficult. For example, we have not found any teeth.